By criminalizing parents, we're separating parents from the kids. So here's again.
House, specifically the Community Safety Committee.
Follow this.
And by criminalizing parents, we are separating parents from their children forever.
Okay. By criminalizing the parents, we're separating the parents from the children forever. I don't know where forever comes from. I guess forever is when the kid dies. That's forever. When we're criminalizing the parents, what we're doing is that parent, that person is breaking the law, and that person is endangering that child's life. That's it. You're not criminalizing the parent. What you're doing is you're enforcing a law. But you follow this weird logic.
And we don't want to see that.
Representative Roger Goodman is the committee chair. He says the state doesn't want to charge parents, which would separate them from their kids. And
oh, my God. Oh, my God. My blood pressure.
Parents, which would separate them from their kids. Roger Goodman is the committee chair.
Yeah,
he says the state doesn't want to charge parents, which would separate them from their kids.
Why not? What's the number of kids that have died or near fatalities? You don't want to separate the kids from the parents. They're smoking fentanyl, blues in a car. There's a story. They got this mother and a father in the front seat, the kid's in the back seat. The cops come upon it, and the kid's all sleepy and everything. They go to test the kid to see if he's good. But he's obviously not in a good state. But we don't want, no, God forbid, we separate the parents from the kids. Why not? Well, we don't want to criminalize it.
And that historically, criminalizing drugs disproportionately affects people of color.
It disproportionately affects people that do drugs. That's who it disproportionately affects. Take race out of it. It disproportionately affects people that do drugs. There's people that don't do drugs and people that do drugs. It doesn't matter what the color, it doesn't matter anything else. It's either doing drugs or you're not doing drugs. Okay.
Many grieving parents, grandparents tell me it feels like the state is protecting the adult and the child who died is not getting justice, that their life does not matter. What do you say to that?
There have been so many tragic incidences with families and children exposed to these substances. If you're committing a crime, you need to know you're committing the crime. And so many of these people who are suffering from a severe substance use disorder have no idea what's going on.
Okay. That doesn't hold up in court because ignorance of the law is no excuse. You know what you're doing, right? Unless the person is going to be criminally insane, they're well aware of what they're doing. This is such an odd thing. It's this weird sort of twisted logic where you say, okay, like who's the victim here? The victim is the person who's doing the drugs. Absolutely, I'll give you that. They are enslaved by this drug and their behavior is not the behavior they want, but they're enslaved by the drug. Okay, got it. But now your actions of doing the drugs, and you know you're doing the drugs, you just want to get high, you're starting to get like drug sick, so you want to get high again. So you're going to rob somebody, hit somebody over the head, break into somebody's car to get them stuff that you can then use to sell to buy the drugs. Got all that. Then you do the drugs, the kid's in the house. This is not about that person. You could separate these two. And you could say, listen, this is not a good parent. You're not a good parent right now. Let's get you some help. Let's get you off the drugs. Let's assume you want to be a better parent. But right now, all you care about is getting high. And Roger Goodman doesn't really see it that way. He says, it's not really fair to the person. We can't hold them responsible.
A severe substance use disorder have no idea what's going on. And the question that many of my colleagues have is, do we want to attach criminal liability to someone who is suffering from a substance use disorder, even if someone else may be harmed?
Oh my God. Is that crazy? Am I taking crazy pills?
The most contradictory part of what he's saying is if they don't know that if they're insane because they're on drugs and they can't be trusted to know what they're doing, how can they be trusted to functionally use a lockbox or to
be a parent,
abide by the rules of this, the Keeping Families Together Act? Those two things completely contradict each other.
He's suggesting we decriminalize some behavior because of the collateral consequences of the family, right? Okay, especially the children. That is wild. That is just wild. You really have to twist your head around that one, don't you? But hey, Representative Goodman, I'd love to get you on the radio because I'd love to read the obituaries. But I'd have a hard time because here's the really weird thing. Undetermined deaths. So the kid dies, they go and they're going to get the death certificate. So in most cases, when it comes to fatalities, this is nationally, 5% of the time they can't determine the death. Not sure what the death. That's everybody that was alive and now dead. That's from kids all the way to old people. About 5% of the time, unable to determine. In the state of Washington right now, 70% of these kids' deaths are undetermined. That's because they haven't put it in the books since 2019. That's as far back as I've been able to find it. So they haven't been documenting it. Now, why they don't want to document it, I don't know. Maybe they don't want to document that the kid was dead because somehow he got some sort of drug in his system, because then that would be a big problem. But this doesn't happen often. I am at a loss for words. And when I saw that, I was sitting on a plane flying to Reno. I thought, oh, Roger Goodman, come on, really? You want to keep the families together? Why don't we do this? I'm going to make a motion. I need somebody to second the motion that Roger Goodman attends every single funeral of every single kid who dies in the state of Washington because the mother and the father were doing drugs in the house. And Roger Goodman has to carry the coffin. Second the motion?
Second.
There you go. Attend the funeral. Attend the funeral. You can feel sorry for the parent. And believe me, I understand. I know friends that are addicted to drugs. I get it. Joe, you know the same story. It's like this monster that's in your head, and it just distorts everything. I've got a great friend, Stephanie, who's got 4 kids, and she said to me, Curly, all I cared about was getting high. I didn't care about my kids at all. That's all I cared about. And I was the worst mother in the world. And every time that feeling came into my soul that I was the worst mother in the world, it made me want to get higher.
Yeah.
And all I wanted, and then as soon as I'd be higher, then all of a sudden this like voice would creep into my head about what my kids, because I could hear them crying in the other room, and then I just want to get higher because I just needed to block all that out. I mean, she's tortured. She's okay now, and I said to her, we had her on the radio. She said, I said, you went to jail? She goes, I didn't care. I went to prison, went to jail, didn't matter. Went to this rehab, this. She goes, I just had to keep hitting rock bottom. That heard from her and her story, but this is so. There we are. We passed it. We've made a motion. We passed second. We voted yes. And then Andrew threw the gavel down. We're going to ask Representative Roger Goodman from Issaquah to attend the funerals and carry the coffin. He could probably carry it himself because these kids are very little. It's a very small box. He'll be fine. Golly. It's just shocking. Again, here's the problem with so much of this stuff in the state of Washington. Who's the victim? Who's the victim? You're a victim of your addiction. Okay, fine. But guess what? Because of your actions, someone else becomes a victim of your actions. And you are responsible for your actions. Why'd you start with that? Why can't we go back to my dog licking his feet?
So you think it was assault, huh?
I think it was assault. I did clean it off with dishwashing detergent.
Did it help?
And then I looked online. Is dishwashing detergent poisonous? I mean, it was 2 a.m. I'm like, what am I going to do? I have a nice, easy radio show, not get all upset.